Hi, how's it going? How are you getting on? Are you doing well? What is the crack with you? So, yeah, this is my third vlog. And in this vlog, I'm going to talk about extremes. My extreme behaviour when it comes to my diet, when it comes to drinking, and when it comes to how I view myself. And don't take it too seriously because it's all light-hearted. At the end of the day, I try to do everything in moderation, but every now and again the scales kind of tip to a little bit of debauchery, and it's all right. It's all right to have a bit of a mess around from time to time. The problem is, though, when I do it very often, and that causes depression, anxiety, paranoia and things like that for me, because I have quite a history with mental health, and I'm happy to say that I'm on the good side now. I'm on the good side. So I just want to share some bits and bobs with you about my wellness. And so let's get into it.
Reflect, learn and grow. Let's go. Reflect, learn and grow with me. I'll take you on a journey. Let's find harmony. Reflect, learn and grow. Let's go. Reflect, learn and grow. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Christine Serene, and I'm always reflecting, I'm always learning, and I'm always growing. And you know why I'm doing that? It's because that's all I've ever done all my life. Is I've always tried to be better. I've always tried to be a better person, and I'm glad to say now I have the time to do that because I'm at home most days, and while I am a contented housewife and homeschooling mother of 2 children, I get time to myself, especially now that the children are getting older. They're 9 and 10. But yeah, I really like my life. It used to be extremely extreme, and I suppose it's taken me a long time to calm those extreme habits that I formed from living an extreme lifestyle from birth up until my mid to late 20s, really. And I'm happy to say that I'm not fully recovered, but I am definitely in a better place, and that's why I'm here, because I want to share with you what I do and, you know, the funny side to it all as well. I don't take it too seriously because there's no point in taking life too seriously. I did that for a very long time and it really didn't help with anything. So I try not to take life too seriously, but I think there are times that you do have to be serious, and I'm very serious about keeping the peace within me and creating joy within my life, and that means that I have to be disciplined. So there are 3 disciplines that I'm always trying to work on: disciplining my body, my character and my mind. And I think that if anybody wants to find true peace in this life, it's that trio that you need to work on: the mind, the body and the character, the spirit. So yeah, I try not to be too it's a strange one for alcohol, really, because what I seem to do, I know what I do. This is my cycle. This is my extreme cycle with alcohol at the moment, and it's that I won't drink for about 6 months, and then I'll just go on like a complete blowout for about 3 weeks, where I'll get drunk one weekend and then the next weekend and then the next weekend. Not for a whole weekend, just for one night, because I can only handle one night of excessive drinking, and then I'm dead for 3 or 4 days because I'm 42 now and I'm not able to cope with that. But then again, saying that, I was never ever any good with alcohol. It would make me so depressed. And because of drinking, I can go to the extremes of eating, or I can be extremely delusional in my behaviour. Like, let's have a look at this clip, for example. Here's an example of me doing some extreme binge drinking. Look at this. Here I am, a big red face, 2 bottles, showing them off, and there's a little bit left in that bottle, so I had a bit. Here I go, dancing away now, and you know, look at me, Queen Diva, dancing away with all the different moves, boogieing the night away, the head goes up, and as time passes by, I'm getting a little bit more frisky. I think I'm actually beautiful. I think I'm actually like Britney Spears or something. And then I end it all with this butternut squash choco mousse that I made myself. It's probably about 200 calories in it. I really love it. It's a great, nice snack after, you know, the binge drinking. But the next morning, look at the head on that. There's a head only a mother could love. Absolutely dying. So I get up anyway, and I face the world, and I say, right, we're going to have some toast. Haven't had toast in ages, haven't had bread in ages. And so there I go, I treat myself to some wheat bread. I've had other bread, but I just haven't had wheat bread, some butter on it. And then later on, I'm absolutely maxed out. My husband said, let's go to the beach and get some fish and chips, and that'll help you to recover better. And as I'm going to get ready, I just go for a walk outside, and I just have to lay down in the grass. Have you ever done that when you're hungover? I lay down in the grass. This is me here, in the safe airways position, in the grass. I'll show you a full facial there. The wind is blowing in my face, and I'm really reconsidering my life choices at that very moment there. And off we go in the car, down to Morris Castle Beach. And look at that fish, nicely well done fish. Rob some chips on the hubby, just a few because I'm in a calorie deficit. More wheat, by the way. I was off the wheat for quite a while, and here I am having a splurge on it. And that's what happens when I'm hungover. Just go whatever, throw caution to the wind and just have a break. And look at that beach. The beach heals. It really, really does. I felt so much better after that. But that was after dying. I was dying for a good 6 hours before we went to the beach. I think I was up about 10 o'clock, and then we went down to the beach about 4 o'clock. But yeah, I just fresh air. But like, seriously, the delusion in the dancing though. You think I thought I was Britney Spears or something, but yeah, I still think I'm quite a good dancer. But what do you think? Speaking of extreme behaviours, I haven't just been extreme in my drinking and my dancing. I am extreme with eating, but I tell you what I'm very extreme with, and I didn't realise. I am actually very extreme with how much salt I take. I really didn't know this, but I started to get heart palpitations recently. And obviously people were saying, go to a healthcare provider and this, that and the other. But I tend to try to figure out the problem first myself rather than freaking out and rushing to get medication. I try to have a look and see online if I can figure it out. And then it so happened that I met a couple at a homemade meetup at the park, and one of them was a breath worker. So I was asking him about breath work and you know, if it would be any good for heart palpitations. And he said, well, yeah, kind of, but there must be some kind of underlying issue. Have you gone to see a healthcare provider? And I said, no. And he said, well, do you have problems with anxiety and things like that? And I said, I used to, but I don't. There's no reason for me to be anxious nowadays. I'm fine. I've kind of dealt with all that. And he looked me dead in the eyes and said, just ask life. Just ask life. And so I asked life. I just said it the next day. I just said, life, what's going on with my heart? Why am I having heart palpitations? And later on that day, I took the salt grinder out of the cupboard and I tried to salt some food that I had made. But the salt cellar wouldn't work. It was broken. And it was working the day before. And so I thought that was strange. And then I went to the cupboard and I took out the bag of salt. I took a pinch of salt out of it and then I placed the peg back on the bag to keep the bag closed. And I put the bag into the cupboard. I closed the door and then I heard a kind of tap sound, and I went back to the cupboard just to see what the sound was, and the peg had fallen off the bag. And I was thinking to myself, I thought I put that on properly. And then it just hit me. I said, oh, could that be a message from life? And so I looked it up. I was like, maybe it's the salt I'm having, because my husband said to me a while ago, I think you're having a bit too much salt. And I was like, no, you need salt. Salt's good for you. You should have a good lot of it. And so I looked it up and I typed in, can excessive salt consumption cause heart palpitations? And it came back to me and said, yes, so too much salt in the diet is actually bad for the heart. And not only that, it's actually bad for the stomach. And I had actually started to feel these anxious pangs down in my stomach as well. This was another side effect. It's my heart started to go first and then my stomach started to get worse. And since I've cut down on my salt intake, the stomach has calmed and I barely have much heart palpitations now, which is great. So I know that it was actually the salt. At 42, that was the other weird thing as well. We were watching First Dates and there was a woman on that and she said she had a heart attack at 37. And that kind of struck me first. And then the next day I had the salt, the things happening with the salt. And yeah, I found that mad, that woman could have heart attacks at 37. And I was thinking, wow, I'm very sensitive to things. What if I ended up having a heart attack or a stroke because I didn't look after my body, because I didn't read the signs because of salt? And so I've cut down on my salt, but it's absolutely madness. It's madness. So recommended salt intake is 6 grams. And I got the salt out just to have a look and see what 6 grams looks like. So I got myself a little container. I put it on the weighing scales. And here's the bag of salt. Fine Himalayan rock salt. And this is how many pinches of salt I put in. So 1, 2, 3. And they're pretty big pinches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 9 pinches of salt. All that. That is a recommended daily allowance of salt. Now, I will show you shortly the amount of salt that I was consuming, because as good fortune would have it, I've been using a calorie counter for about a year now, and it counts the salt intake, it counts my sugar intake, it counts my carbohydrates, and I have put a setting on it now to show me how much salt is in all the foods that I'm eating, just to keep an eye on my salt intake, because it's my body. I need to look after it, and I certainly want to be around for my grandchildren. So it does actually start now with me just looking after my body. And so that's what I've chosen to do, and I'm very, very happy to do that. I really am. And so here, let's just have a look here of how much salt I consumed, right? It's gone over. If you look down the bottom there and you see the red, and it's gone over in salt, in grams. But I set myself 3 grams of salt a day as a target. so that I could cut down and give my heart a bit of a rest. But I've gone over on this day by double, but really I've actually only gone over by 0.9 of a gram. So that's not too bad, but it's very easy to go over it. Like, that is one day, but there are other days where it's actually it is worse, and I shall show you some other times. But just for example, this one here, look at lunchtime. Look at that there. Look at that potato gratin. 2.17 grams of salt in that potato gratin, and I had half the pack. And then obviously I had salmon. Then I had tinned salmon. That might look like a very strange meal, but that was actually really delicious because of the potato gratin and all the salt, probably. Even the tin of pink salmon, that's 0.9 of a gram as well. But then if you look at dinner, I had seafood marinara. Seafood had so much salt in it. Look there, 1.4. Obviously it's going to have lots of salt in it because it came from the sea and they're all shellfish. And then I put in a sprinkle of Himalayan rock salt there. But like, that's just one example, like how easy it is to have too much salt in the diet and not even realize it, because it's put into so much packaged food that you never even think about it. So then, because I have noticed my extreme salt intake, everything doesn't taste as flavoursome. So to counteract that, I tried to put in extra herbs and spices into my dishes, fresh ones, because they're very little calories and they really do pack a punch, and they're very good for me. So here I am chopping up a load of herbs, and the reason why I'm doing this is that I can freeze them and just take them out every now and again when I need them, sprinkle them on food. So what I've got here is I've got coriander, I've got chili pepper, I've got ginger, and I've got cloves of garlic, and also there I have chives. And as you can see, the bags on the side there, they're just old bags that I washed out. They had freeze-dried apple and freeze-dried raspberry in them. I just rinsed them out and dried them out. And they're good, like, bags. They've got the foil in the inside, which is the most important thing. Foil bags are best. And then with the clicky top, I've labelled them as well. And I'm going to use them to put my herbs and spices in. I have an excess of coriander because I just ordered too much, but I absolutely love the stuff. So there's my bags, and I've got trays, and I've got baking paper, and I've got my gloves. That's my first set of gloves that I wear. I think I changed my gloves about 4 times in this, and you'll see the difference in the colours shortly because I run out of my black gloves. I get fed up chopping the cloves of garlic, so I stick them in this handy little chopper that I got in Lidl a while ago. It was great. And look at that. All in all, I think it took me about an hour and a half maybe to actually chop up all this, and then, you know, put it in the tray and put it in the freezer. But then I had to wait a few hours then for it to be kind of frozen. The point is to kind of half freeze them on the tray like that first, so that they're not clumped together. So you break them up then, and then stick them in a bag, and then they're easy to break apart in the bag then afterwards. But if you clump it all together at the first time and then they freeze, it's harder to separate them. So I do recommend that put them on trays like I'm doing here on top of the baking paper. And there they all are done, and then they're wrapped and they're going into the freezer. So I've got just a lunchbox. I pack them all in there and put the lid on, and now I'm done. There's my bags ready for whenever I want to use them. And you know, if you don't want to do that, just go into the shop and buy bags of it already done in Tesco. They've got parsley, coriander, garlic and chilli. And there, look, here I go now in my calorie counter. I'm just showing you, I've just called a frosty fork my spices there, and I will just click on that 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever amounts. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. Look, the calories in it is so low. Like, I'd probably, if I'm in excessive and I put more in, I'd go for 2. If I'm just having 1, like a sprinkle of each, then I just put in 1 serving, which is only 9 calories. But look, no salt. And it just really does give the dish a good spruce up. I'm really, really happy with my packets of frozen herbs. And here's a meal that I put it on recently, which was tuna chili that I made on a bed of rice. I measured out the rice was 150 grams, and then the tuna was just 1 tin of tuna for myself, and then I think it was like 30 grams of kidney beans and peppers and stuff like that in it. And it was delicious. It was really good because tuna is very low in calories, and it's a really good filler for protein. You know, I try to fill up on protein. So I've just put chives and coriander and then garlic, ginger, chili on, and then I've put a pinch of salt, some pepper, and just give it a little mix, and off I go to eat my dinner. Delicious. The children, my husband had the minced beef chili con carne that I normally have, but I had eaten a lot that day, so I was trying to be a little bit more disciplined in my last bit of food for the day. I want to be good and I want to look after my body, and it might sound extreme at 42 watching my salt intake, but I think it starts at this age. I really do think it actually starts at this age, and it's important. And I think it's my body and it's my responsibility, so I'm going to do what I can to look after it. But yeah, I do want to look after my figure. I do want to try and maintain it. Maintenance is quite difficult though. Really is quite difficult. I've never done it before. It's mad the amount of times that I lost weight and then put it back on because I didn't maintain. It just never ever crossed my mind. I don't know. Nobody ever said it to me. I just don't know. I just went and did the extreme exercise program and then ate better and then lost all the weight, and then when the weight was off I just showed it off. I was like, oh, it's so fantastic, look at me. And then slowly but surely, 5-6 months later, maybe to a year later, I've put all the weight back on. Absolutely no, like zero discipline. There was extreme discipline at the start, and then I go back down to extremely no discipline in the end. And then I have to start all over again when I'm upset again in a few years. I'm like, oh, I'm fat and not happy with myself, not happy. I'm actually quite happy with how I look right now. And I wouldn't even say that I am actually really slim. Like, I'm carrying a little bit of fat, but I'm happy with that. I don't mind, like, because I do like to indulge from time to time. And, you know, if I didn't look after my body, I would never have the confidence to do dress ups for you. So here's one of the dress ups, and just check out my house gear. This is gas, like, stay to this. I'd never go outside the house with these on. Look at the Crocs and the yellow top and the pink shorts. Can you guess what I think I look like? I'll tell you later. But I've got wine shorts, and then I got my brown sandals on and a pink t-shirt, and then I'm going to tuck that top in. And then I think, put a belt on it. I've got my necklace. That ended up being pulled off because it just didn't fit right. and off I go. Bit of lippy on, no makeup, as I said to you before. I'm trying my best not to wear makeup because I don't need to wear it all the time. I'm just going to wear it when I go out on nights out and stuff, and that's very rare, but I really do want to look after myself. So a denim jacket, and that's quite nice, but I whipped that off very quickly because it's roasting. A few moments later I come back because I want to show you my nails. What do you think of those bad boys? They're beautiful, and I'm going to bring those nails away later and I'll show you them again. They're going to reappear shortly. Now look at this. Coming back in the door, I have changed my shorts. Do you know why I changed my shorts? Because those red ones were actually quite uncomfortable, and I thought to myself, if I wear these out all day and I'm going to be active, I'm going to be walking around, I'm going to be extremely uncomfortable and I'm going to be extremely grumpy. So I decided to change those shorts, and you know what, I'm not going to wear them anymore because they're too small for me and I don't think they're actually very flattering, to be honest. So anyway, there I am now in those blue shorts. Aren't they gorgeous? They are Primark, but they are so comfy and so nice, I think. What do you think? But yeah, like, so there I am, from a change from my housewear that I would never, if someone called round to my house and I was in that gear, I would actually run to the bedroom and change. But I don't know why I'm showing you. I don't know why I'm showing you on the internet. Yeah, the state of that though. So funny. The bright colours end up becoming housewear. My house fash. But look at this. What does this outfit remind you of though? This house fash outfit. I don't know why. I just, every time I look at it, I think swizzle stick. Look at that, double dip swizzle stick. I just keep thinking about that. And you know what, actually, my long wine trousers that I wear with that yellow top would actually be a better swizzle stick, double dip look. So I will do that. I'll show you that someday, see if that works. Maybe if I could team it up with maybe my brown shoes, actually. I keep that in mind, and we'll come back to swizzle stick some other day. And so anyway, in that outfit with those beautiful nails, we took a trip to Hookhead, and I think I did a very good job on my nail show. We'll have a look at this. So here we go. We're heading down. We went down to Hookhead, which is the oldest working lighthouse in the world. And here I point out all of the different things in the area. And did you see my husband? When he realises what I'm doing, he's looking, just, you see him there. You see the reflection of him in the glass. And he cops on what I'm doing. I'm pointing, moving my fingers along it, and my fingers come out, yeah, and he's like, oh, I've not enough of this, and I start laughing. I'm just pointing over there. Look at that lovely ship. No, look at the hands, beautiful right-hander there, and in comes the left hand. Check out my wedding ring and my engagement ring, just showing off the boys there. And here's more, a right-hander for the boys too, and or the buoys, some people call them buoys, and this kind of contraption. And hey, look at that beautiful view out on the east coast of Ireland. Absolutely love it. And in the distance we have Loftus Hall, which is a haunted house that I went to visit one time. And as I left the haunted house, no word of a lie, the car broke down the actual drive, and that freaked us out. It took us a while to leave. She got the car started again, but it just took a while for that to get going. But yeah, it did freak us out. And then from that beautiful extreme nail show to Floppy. Floppy is our pet bunny rabbit, and he experienced a little bit of extreme discomfort, and I actually caught it on camera because it happened to him 3 times in a row that day. But it's his own fault, because what's happening with him is that he is molting to the extremes at the moment, and it's too early. He usually molts in September, but he has started to molt now in July, and his fur is everywhere. Look at the state of the place with him. There's fur all over the place, under the table, all around here. Look at it, pull it off his back like. I chucked a load of it in the grass the other day, hoping that maybe the birds would have it, but I don't think. Maybe the birds would put it in a nest, but they're not going to make nests out of it at the moment. But look at him here. I caught this on camera. He's like, do you know what he reminds me of? Do you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of one of those toy puppies, you know, you set him off and they go, whoop, 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 whoop. He sounds like that. But you can see that he's kind of getting a bit agitated, like, because I don't know, I didn't even count, but how many sneezes does he have? Look at this. Let's see if I can count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I shouldn't laugh, but seriously. In 2021, 22? Was 22 there? I think I missed out too. Poor Floppy. He looks really peed off though, doesn't he? Poor creator. He can't cope with it because of the fur. The fur is up his nose. I love Flop. He's a lovely fella. So yeah, that's the end of this edition to my vlogs. I hope you enjoyed it. Go back and have a look at my second vlog and my first vlog. Let me know what you think. But yeah, everything in moderation and balance is key. I think that's very, very important to remember that. And I do try to do that. I really do try to do that. And I have been from one extreme to another. I grew up like that. So yeah, it's good that I'm very, very happy now that I have the time to work on myself. But I wouldn't have been able to do all of the work that I've done up to now if I hadn't have had such a supportive husband and been able to just see my behaviours, who I am reflected back at me through my children. You know, they are sponges and they will show you what you are. And then my husband is terribly, terribly honest, but I love it because the brutal honesty stops me from becoming obese. It stops me from becoming depressed. It stops me from getting too ahead of myself egoically. It helps me to ground myself, refrain myself, and I don't care what anyone says. Life needs discipline, routine and discipline. I have to give myself the discipline. Nobody else can discipline me. I'm a grown up now. I have to discipline myself with the food I eat, the alcohol I drink, and how I speak to myself, what thoughts I let in, what emotions I give them, and if I give them any emotion, and how I behave with other people, you know. And so with all that said, please do like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video. Please do let me know, and do leave a comment below. Let me know how you're getting on, how is life going, and look after yourself. Be good, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, bye-bye.
Reflect, learn and grow. Let's go. Reflect, learn and grow with me. I'll take you on a journey. Let's find harmony. Reflect, learn and grow. Let's go.